Previously in X-Men. While all of mutant kind is on the run from the murderous marauders, Madeline Pryor, the abandoned wife of Cyclops, has been the target of said gang of killers. With Storm away on a personal quest to restore her powers, can the X-Men prepare themselves to face off against foes like Sabretooth, Polaris, who is now possessed by Malice, Arclight, Vertigo, and their mysterious master? I am Jason Lapidus.
I'm Chris Sanagan.
And we are a group of 7 comics. Welcome to episode 153 of our ongoing live stream read-through of the X-Men comics that became classic as we read Uncanny X-Men, number 221 by Chris Claremont, Marc Silvestri, Dan Green, cover date of September 1987. Chris, how are you?
I'm good now that my tech issues were solved. I'm doing well, thanks. What are these guys doing?
We can start there. You got some beautiful Funko Pops there, buddy. Let's before you start going on conjugal relationships with your Funkos, let's say hello to the chat. And I see Michael is here. Hello, everyone. And Ali M, happy Tuesday, happy February to all you awesome nerds. And Massimo, how are you? And Richard Reyes, how are you? Hello, happy Tuesday to you both. Thank you very much to all of you. We're happy to see you in the chat. We're hoping you're having a good day. Let's hope all 4 of you, speaking of 4, on F4, February 4th, caught the Fantastic Four teaser. So not a trailer per se. Again, teaser is what just shows you a series of clips that evoke an emotional response. A trailer is actually partially story structure, and they last about twice as long. So did everyone out there catch the teaser this morning? It dropped at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Chris, did you watch it?
I did. I watched it a couple of times. I had multiple friends send it to me, including you.
Sure.
Which was very nice of people to alert me of its presence. And then as I was scrolling through my socials, I noticed so many others posting it to their stories. So many people. People are pretty excited, obviously. So, and I watched it again before the show just to watch it again.
Yeah.
But this is really interesting because you and I, when we chat about this, I don't have a history with Fantastic Four. And in fact, I've often questioned to you directly. I'm like, walk me through why it's a big deal. And you've been very kind and patient with me as you explain the particular affinity for the Fantastic Four. So all to say, I thought it was cool that it dropped, and it's kind of fun. Yeah, good night. Okay, and I mean, if people have seen it, like to hear or watch the teaser, I'd like to know your thoughts. It's a big production for Marvel, right?
It is.
There's a lot riding on Fantastic Four, more so than say, insert movie here that,
right.
I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
To your point,
yeah.
If not for the previous incredible rise of the MCU as a franchise of films, if not for that, this has as much stake as an Avengers movie. But of course, Avengers movies are so much more important because of the precedent of the, multi-billion-dollar franchise. This one has to carve its way. But in terms of the Marvel branding, this is the first Marvel comic, in theory, from a point of view, right? We know that Marvel Comics changes their name, starting off Timely and then Atlas and then Marvel. The ushering in of the Marvel age of that partnership of Lee and Kirby is Fantastic Four, number 1. And they're coming off of a decade of monster comics, westerns, and romances. And This has the romance angle. It's in there, but it's not a
Hmm.
romance comic. But it absolutely is a monster comic. The first issue is a cover is a monster coming out of the ground,
Right.
and 4 non-superhero costumed characters, civilian clothing, one being a monster. I mean, Human Torch in a way is a monster story too. If you want to,
Sure.
I can see that frame. One guy stuck being rubbery. It's got that again Twilight Zone monster moment. A woman who's become invisible. Like there's a monster element there. It's not like they're all Superman, right? They're
Hmm.
all
Hmm.
kind of horror, body horror kind of angle
Hmm.
at its core. It starts off as a monster comic that like then just redefines superhero and American comics for the next 100 issues. And one could argue, I'm not going to, but one could argue that like the 100 issues of FF by Lee and Kirby are like the purest Silver Age American comics. Like that is the most inventive, creative use of the form
Hmm.
in that time. So I've read, I love Jack Kirby. You know that. Everyone who's ever heard me talk about comics knows that. I love what Stan Lee brings to the comic book page as well. And like Kirby, he is the one who makes the language of superhero comics. Like that, the language that we read is his language of how to use panels, how to be dynamic, the body form, like all those things. That's the language power. We're looking at a Kirby panel in front of us in terms of the use of language, the use of coming out the screen at the reader or off the page at the reader. That is the language Kirby basically invents. Um, what does that have to do with the movie trailer? I don't know, man. I wonder if like the best thing about them is that 100 issues, right? This is the 4th movie.
Hmm.
We've got the uh, is it pronounced, Ian Griffiths or Owen, whatever? How it's a
Sure.
Welsh name, so
Yes, it
I don't
is.
always know if you pronounce it in a Welsh way or if it's
Try
Welsh in
pronounce
spelling.
it in the Welsh way.
No, no, no. But I'm saying it could be Welsh in spelling, but English in pronunciation. You know what I
Sure.
mean?
Sure.
So I don't always know. But Owen Griffiths, of course, Chris Evans and Jessica Alba and Michael Chiklis. Um, that group, 2 movies from them before the MCU, and then we have that one that if you lovingly call or ironically call Fantastic Four stick,
Hmm.
and whatever year that one was. And I've only been able to watch that once. I didn't have the fortitude, the
That's so.
intestinal
Yeah.
fortitude to watch that a second time. But I might have to now just to kind of get myself geared up for the new movie. But so this is a big deal. Obviously, there's some major celebrity in this one too,
Hmm.
right? We not just the John Malkovich hiding in the background.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even.
Feel free to look up who he's playing. I mean, I actually don't remember who he's playing. Whether maybe he's playing Professor Storm, like their parent. Maybe
Mm.
he's playing Mole Man in some way or something. Maybe he's playing. I don't know. I don't actually have an answer right now. I probably have heard in the past, but I've forgotten who he's playing.
Mm.
But obviously, we're never too far from Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom,
Right.
right? I mean, maybe he teases in this movie. Maybe he's just not part of it at all. But yeah, Fantastic Four is kind of like a fun romp. So we're hopefully going to get the family love of the Incredibles and the retrofuturism.
Hmm.
Michael says, I heard he might be the Red Ghost. Now, if memory serves from my Marvel Saga readings, like my intro with Fantastic Four is probably, other than seeing them on cartoons once in a while, but in comic book form, I think that I read a series called Marvel Saga, which was a 25 issue chronological retelling of the origins of the Marvel universe.
Oh.
So it was cropped panels, like cutouts, and then narration, and it was done on the cheap, and the reproductions were bad. But that's probably how I saw the most Jack Kirby art at the time. So Red Ghost, I believe, was like a Russian dude in a Santa Claus suit, a red suit, no hat, not trying to be Santa, but just that's how it was colored. like red with some white trim, and he had that long white hair, and he had 3 apes that they were telepathically linked or something like that. That he was definitely like a weird 60s kooky kind of villain. That yeah. So yeah, the long hair. Michael says, "Yep, with the superpowered apes." Yeah, okay. So what will be? Comic books has a very, very interesting relationship with apes. That's like monkeys, apes in comics.
It works. It works.
Sure, it does. Like, look at that with DC. How many super mental apes there are? Like Gorilla Grodd, Mr. Mala,
Ultra Humanite.
Like, it's just there's so many. There is some sort of phenomenon when it comes to the success of apes in comics, in American comics at least. It was awesome seeing Herbie. Michael says that as well.
Yeah.
And Massimo says it was never much for the FF, but I hope that this iteration is successful. Yeah, I'm not one of those people that wants the Disney Marvel universe to fail. Like, I just want to watch great movies, and I want to see those, whatever character gets on screen, I want them to inspire me to want to make and be better. Like, I like that. I'm into characters that go through situations where I'm like, oh, I should be a better man. Like, I can do better. That character lifts me up. And I want to see cool shit. So yeah. I'm all in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Vanessa Kirby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of Vanessa Kirby. And Pedro, right? We get Pedro Pascal. Like, I'm into all of it. I don't have much to say.
The guy's in everything.
Yeah, he is. The trailer looked good, or the teaser looked good. Like, there's
yeah, and I think you're right too. It's next year. I think is Avengers Doomsday, right? 2026. Yeah. So yeah, there will be some, being the FF's primary foe, primary antagonist. I guess what I'm saying is it's a big swing, right? They want this one to. It's probably why it was, now we're seeing it 2025 in terms of not trying to put it out, trying to find the right fit for it, right? As they build this particular universe.
It's funny when you think about what's hit and what has missed.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not about quality. It's like a tone. It's sort of like a vision. So Guardians 1, no one guessed it was going to be the phenomenon it was. Avengers 1, no one guessed it was going to be the phenomenon that it was. And then you get like, a movie that is not necessarily worse than Avengers 1, Avengers 2. People, like, it kind of missed with certain elements of the audience.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. Like, and then Avengers 3 and 4 are like mammoth films in terms of their earnings. But they're not necessarily better than or worse. I mean, I love them more than all the other movies, but that's just this subjectivity here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who knows how people are going to respond to Fantastic Four?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm all in. I like the design of everything. I, of course, wish that it was all interconnected in the way that the comics unfold, because that's, we all like to lean on continuity, but I realize it hinders creativity and hinders storytelling at its core. So letting go of that, it's its own pocket universe. Cool. Okay.
Totally cool.
I just want to see a good movie.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely.
The thing be thingy.
Absolutely. I did enjoy the last couple of shots, the frame of just the side of Galactus' head.
Oh, dude.
Looking over, Manhattan. Oh, it's
like going right for Galactus in episode 1. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Galactus is like in issue 50. It's 5 years essentially of Fantastic Four comics building to this idea that lowercase g God arrives on Earth, and that's what the G on Galactus was for. Is he had a G on his belt? He's God, and that was the pitch that Lee said to Kirby, was like, okay, the next issue they're going to fight God. And so that's all that Lee tells him, right? And so he comes up with there should be a herald before God gets there.
Yeah.
And so Silver Surfer is a 100% Stan Lee, sorry, Jack Kirby creation. No Lee takes credit. And then Galactus, that the whole look of him just being this dude. There was no character pitch. That just God comes and crazy.
Then like
crazy.
They're gonna fight God and also 3 superpowered apes.
Right.
He's
so
like
the other part of Fantastic Four that is like at its core of maybe its value in the Marvel Comics universe is it was the title through which every other thing passed. So Spidey #1, he goes to try out for the FF.
Right. Black Panther. Right.
So I was just talking like characters that appear in it. Yeah. Now you're talking characters that first appear in it.
Right.
So Black Panther's first appearance, of course, is in the Fantastic Four. The Inhumans, their first appearance is the Fantastic Four. I'm going to start forgetting things. Obviously, the Watcher, Silver Surfer, Galactus. A ton of the villains. Doctor Doom, of course. Submariner's revival as a character. He's a golden age.
Like from the
the Timely Comics
Invaders?
days. That's the Invaders. It's my understanding that the Invaders is a retcon.
Okay.
The idea of Human Torch,
Cap,
and him. I don't know if there are actual Golden Age Avengers. Golden Age Invaders.
Right.
They all 3 were characters that were around in the Golden Age of Marvel. Timely Comics, but I don't think they actually teamed up and fought.
Gotcha.
I think that's a Silver Age hindsight, or almost Bronze Age retcon. But again, someone in the chat correct me or support me, whatever. It's an opinion. It's not me as a person. So support that statement or contradict that statement. It's all good. So it just is this foundation of everything that was going through, and it was the one title that Kirby and Lee stayed on.
Right.
So they start X-Men. They're off X-Men. They start Avengers. They're then off Avengers. But Lee and Kirby, that's like the book that they really work on for basically Kirby's entire run at 60s, Marvel, until he leaves to go to DC in 1969. Oh man, there you go. That's 17 minutes on the Fantastic Four. We didn't really talk about what we saw in the teaser, but it looked good, and I hope everyone gets a chance to see it when it comes out. But there you go.
There you go.
Can we go on to talking about this comic?
I suppose.
All right. So, Marc Silvestri, cool cover. Yeah, it's there. You can see it online. It's at Heritage Auctions. I'm thirsty. But I wanted to talk, actually, before we go further, spoilers, guys. Mr. Sinister first appears in the issue. I'm going to actually just do this. We're going to get...
those teeth.
We're gonna get a splash right away of Mr. Sinister, so we're gonna start here when we get into the read. But I wanted to talk about this villain. Again, I'm 12 years old when this issue comes out. I'm reading it off the not off the newsstand, but off the comic book rack. Like I was going to the comic store. I had a local one that I could go to on a probably monthly basis at Thornhill Square. I forget the name of it, but we'd go in there and get comics off the shelf, and I was buying this one. Mr. Sinister failed to land with me as a character when I was 12, and I haven't gotten past that. So I've done some research into the intention of the character, but I want to put out a thought. And again, you can jump on this thought, you can sidestep it, do whatever you want with the thought. The thought is that that it's about creators as opposed to characters. That creators are the things that drive characters, and they have intentions for characters. Characters don't have their own agenda. So when you weave together 2 different creators' ideas, thinking it's one character's personal journey, that's a choice, I think, to look at it from taking the text in. I'm taking it in from the point of view of like how the text got made. If that makes any sense.
Okay.
So everything that happens with Mr. Sinister that I ever read, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end for Mr. Sinister. It happens within Claremont's run, and I've never experienced Mr. Sinister text beyond that. So whatever the next writer does with a character, I'll argue is a different iteration of the character. I'm not tied that one has to connect to the other. There has to be continuity.
Right. Okay.
So when, let's just say, a writer down the road, someone in the chat remind me, who's the guy who just wrote a huge run on X-Men for like the last 7 years or something, and it just ended? The House of X, Powers of X, all that stuff. You know, whatever the guy's name is.
That guy.
He's a really good writer. I'm arguing that we can choose to like make it all the same story, or you can choose that like that is an interpretation of X-Men, and what Claremont did, Hickman. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's perfect. But I'm going to argue that Claremont himself is doing a version of X-Men, and it's kind of self-contained in a way, if you want to read it that way, and that's kind of how I want to read it. He takes what he wants that comes from the writers before. He takes what he wants from Stanley. He takes what he wants from Roy Thomas. Takes what he wants from Len Wein, and then he argues with his drawing partners and figures out what he doesn't want to take from them and what he wants to carry on with. Like, you know how Cockrum and Claremont don't do a lot with Wolverine, but Byrne and Claremont do. Right. So it's kind of like they're not the same Wolverine. We can look at them like they grow, but it's a different interpretation by two different people. So anyway, that being said, Mr. Sinister has a beginning, middle, and end during Claremont's run. It does not get fully explored, but here's what Claremont in interviews has stated was his intention for the character. Spoilers, if this is not your cup of tea, and that's fine. Mr. Sinister is supposed to be, sorry, Chris, I'm spoiling what's coming a little bit. He's supposed to be an android avatar for this Nathaniel Essex character.
Yeah.
Who's a kid. He's a kid in terms that his body's childish or childlike, but he's aged a long time, but he hasn't grown. He's a kid that was in the orphanage with Scott Summers, and he has it in for Summers. He knows that Summers has power. He wants to harness that power for his own purpose. Yeah. So he wants the baby of Scott Summers so he can have basically a power generator.
Right.
Knowing that, it helps frame a lot of his choices. So like the thing we're looking at is what a child imagines the most villainous villain would look like.
Right. Sharp teeth,
Dracula kind of stuff going on.
Red eyes.
Like all exactly. The whole package is supposed to be like the instruction that Silvestri is given is imagine what a child thinks the scariest villainous villain would look like.
Right.
And that's what we get. And like once I hear that, okay, now I kind of am interested, because as a kid I read it, I took it at face value. Like, what is this guy? Like, come on, can't you guys come up with a better looking villain? This looks ridiculous. But now that I know it's supposed to look ridiculous,
right,
I don't have an issue with it anymore. Flip side, there's a secondary character, an echo of him later. And I don't want to ruffle feathers, but I'm going to do it anyway. There's an echo of him later that is his antithesis. That when the next writer takes the character, it never turns out that way. Actually, Claremont himself gives up on this idea. But originally, Gambit was supposed to be the most coolest hero. In a flip. A kid comes up with what would the coolest hero? What would the coolest hero look like? Is Gambit, which is why I don't like Gambit. Like, because he looks like so lame that a little kid, like these ideas are not. They're not earnest to me, but now that I understand that they were originally supposed to be, the manifestation of this child who's creating these characters, in terms of his emotional state and his taste is childish, which is why he starts them the way they do. But as soon as Claremont is done, and that Claremont gives up on that idea for Gambit anyway, the characters take on their own life. Does any of this matter? I don't know. But we're going to connect the thing in his head. Is like, you know how Vision has a crystal in his head?
Yeah.
Android, crystal, combination of magic, science, powers, whatever. Make sense?
I mean, sure. Okay. I mean, definitely. Okay, so the kid grows up. He's stuck in a body, and so has like an android.
He wants. Maybe he wants to transfer his mind into the Summers body. I don't know, but this is like we know how Claremont kicks the can down the curb.
Yeah,
he puts an idea and he's going to let it. He'll figure it out later. But this is where he's starting. This is where he's starting.
Okay, interesting.
I love it. Ali says, taking it a little personally that you think Gambit's allure is childish. Okay. Take it personally. It's okay. I know you're tough. Not everything has to appeal to everybody, so it's okay. It was. I often joke that Gambit's first issue was my last when I was collecting as a kid.
Wow.
I was like, yeah, done. This I don't want this anymore. But that's part of the fun of it. So going into it knowing that he's supposed to be the evilest of evil from a kid's perspective.
Interesting.
Yeah, maybe that's interesting. I don't know. Will that inform our read? I hope so. I hope that we are able to find some pleasure in leaning into the ham of it all. And of course, all you 90s kids who saw him on the animated series would have been, little that he would have just been the most evil looking thing ever. Not having 5 years of whatever reading comics where it seemed on brand for evil in 1992.
Mm-hmm.
But in 1987, it seemed a little. I mean, come on, man. What are the things that
I don't know, but I often ask that question when my first encounter with him is in the 90s cartoon, and I was so confused of the look. I was like, I don't get it. And he's like made of something, and he's got like makeup on, or he doesn't. And he's got teeth, and I'm like, but yeah, things, and I'm like, what are those things? All to say, whole whack load of bonkers.
Yes. Winger Lou says the cover has Frank Miller style Wolverine claws. Mm-hmm. Yeah, those thick blades that obviously get adapted pretty much into the movies. And I wonder how. Yes, or is it blood? I think it's a coloring choice to differentiate it from the fire. Because if they were white, I don't think it would read properly.
Right.
But red hot's cool too.
Yeah.
It works. Ali says trying to figure out why his claws are red. I think it's just for reading clarity, and then I think you can read it as red hot. I think that really does work. I've always read it as blood.
Yeah, he's being burned by Havoc's blast there, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is a point in the story. And I wonder if Silvestri keeps the claws like this, or if he goes for the narrow, pointy J.R. Paul Smith ones.
So Mr. Sinister is a Silvestri design.
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
We know that the character was alluded to.
Yeah.
And in one panel in a Rick Leonardi drawn issue, Sabretooth mentions Mr. Sinister.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the Alan Davis issue where Sabretooth attacks the mansion and Psylocke, I believe the issue is even called Psylocke, when she probes him, there is just a figure in shadow with no detail other than enough of like a masculine form from maybe about the midsection up. Yeah. So there was no detail until this very moment.
Okay.
Are you ready to do this, Chris?
Let's dive into this character.
Yeah. Y'all ready for this? Is like a big question. Stan Lee presents Death by Drowning, starring the Uncanny X-Men. You failed me, Marauders, and failure is something Mr. Sinister does not tolerate. Chris Claremont, writer. Marc Silvestri and Dan Green, artists. Tom Orzechowski, letterer. Glynis Oliver, colorist. Ann Nesenti on editor role, and Jim Shooter still editor-in-chief. Now, one thing I do not know for certain is the color choices. Right. Sometimes when a penciler comes up with an idea, they don't necessarily have a chance for notes. The white skin probably came through, the red eyes, red lips, they came through. But we're going to see some odd Mr. Sinister coloring for this issue, where they go full villain colors. As you go to the next page, you'll see classic 60s Marvel villain colors where he's purple and green, as opposed to that green being red, which I think is the big change. What do we all call they're not tassels, they're not, what do you call, like crimping? No, what do you call when you are like doing a paper, like a birthday or Christmas present, and you take scissors along the ribbon? And and what's that called? That act to make the ribbons curl?
I don't know.
So there's some arts and crafts going on with his costume.
Sure.
The armor is cool. I get all that. And Winger Lou says, as a teenager, I was confused by Sinister's haircut, similar to Colossus. I thought there was a relation between the two. I think also the metal banding is a Colossus Q, and his size is a Colossus Q.
Right.
So we are getting those notes. They come through to me too, for sure. The sharpened teeth, and obviously his demeanor and his face is like, he reminds me of a guy like dressing up as Dracula.
Right. Even like and it's funny you mentioned, and now it's really hard for me to not think of this character's design as from the mind of a child.
Yes.
Or a younger person. Because even with like the boots and the gloves and like the high collar and yeah. It works. And now I'm a little bit intrigued.
Scrambler, Arclight, Scalp Hunter, Vertigo, Sabretooth, Harpoon, Polaris. I forge you into one of the deadliest fighting forces the world has ever seen. I offer power beyond imagination, wealth beyond the wildest dreams of avarice. If only you serve me and do so well. Yet when I set the simplest of tasks, the execution of this woman, Madeline Pryor, you botch it. How then can I expect you to fare against such heroes as the Avengers or the Fantastic Four, or our most dangerous foes, who time and again you have failed to eliminate, the X-Men? Shall I tear the heart from one of you as a sign of my displeasure?
Not if I take yours first, bub. Nobody talks to Sabretooth like that, and nobody threatens him.
I will talk, little man, and do as I please. Ms. Pryor is not only alive, she has recently regained consciousness. She is asking questions, demanding action. It does little good to obliterate every trace of her existence if the woman herself is spared. Eventually, she will succeed in contacting either X-Factor or the X-Men. That must not be permitted. At the moment, this situation is an inconvenience. I desire it resolved before it becomes anything more. The woman is to be killed.
You heard the man, troops. Let's get to it. As for you, butt brain, I hope you learned your lesson. You mess with Sinister and your history.
Cool. Before we go further, there's some, it's 1987. We're not that far off from Empire Strikes Back and, 10 years obviously from Star Wars. But I think this is in the mind of everyone when we have a big bad in dark clothing choking out a subordinate.
Right.
Like forever. You can't go past the Darth Vader power move.
Your devotion to those old ways.
Yes.
That's the line that Sabretooth should have said.
Jason Petro says Earth X continuity has Colossus becoming Sinister and Nightcrawler becoming Belasco. I remember the Nightcrawler becoming Belasco, like as Alex Ross, and who is the other artist on that? I've forgotten. It's been a long time since I read Earth X. But they like each kind of person seems to be morphing into someone else over time, and yeah, like even Peter Parker, I think morphs into a Spider-Man version of the Lizard. But anyway,
Really?
yeah. Belasco, I remember. Mr. Sinister, I don't remember that. It was just like the future where kind of everything goes wrong.
Right.
Winger Lou says, I need a quick summary on when Polaris became a baddie. She is being possessed by Malice, and it's like just a couple issues of that. Malice and the thank you for forcing the recap. I appreciate it sincerely. The Marauders go after Polaris, and Havoc. When Havoc leaves, they go after Polaris in the desert because Malice wants to basically have a powerful host. So yeah, they overtake her, and Malice gets in that body and is just not going to go back. So she's going to stay like this for a long time. Yes, Jason Petra says Braithwaite. I believe that's exactly who it was. Yeah, very cool. So the two of them, Braithwaite, I think, does the interiors, and Alex Ross does the covers. But I think a lot of the concepts where Alex Ross is visually speaking for Earth X. That is worth reading through again. Very cool. Thank you for the reminder about that. So there we go. That's our introduction to Mr. Sinister. We still don't exactly know why he wants every trace of Madeline Pryor eliminated and her killed. Right. I do know why, but we'll see if it comes out in the story.
Okay.
Somewhere else. It looks like a concert hall. Stage 4 at Top Line World Class Rock Show. You ever been to a Top Line World Class Rock Show, Chris?
No, I can't say I have.
Top Line World Class Rock Show.
Not Top Line, that's for sure. World Class, maybe. But Top Line, that's next level.
Whew. The kind of gig Alison Blair once dreamed of playing.
Here I am, Rogue. Take your best shot.
Before she became Dazzler. But those days, that role, that dream are long gone. Possibly, she fears, lost forever. She is an X-Man now, her fate bound to that team of outcast, too often outlaw heroes, standing alone like the Spartans at Thermopylae, against the modern equivalent of Xerxes' Persian horde, Mr. Sinister's Marauders. Okay.
Claremont.
And now as then, the future of the world hanging in the balance.
My pleasure, Nightingale. Your funeral.
Both women are mutants, born with extraordinary parahuman abilities. Rogues pretty much speak for themselves.
Gotta roll with her attack. Let Rogue bear the brunt of her impact. She's physically invulnerable. I'm not. She can twist steel I-beams like string. Can't match that strength. Worse, when she touches people her skin to theirs, she steals their psyches and powers. Pretty birds. Pretty face, songbird. But not for much longer. Talk is cheap, you hussy.
Sorry.
Wow.
I find that funny. Yeah. Dazzler absorbs sound and transduces it into light. In this case, a stroboscopic dazzle blast.
Stroboscopic dazzle blast.
That sounds like an amazing new Mountain Dew flavor.
Right? All the 13-year-old boys are into it.
She's disoriented, momentarily blind. Not to punch her out of reach. Eat photons, witch.
Wow, it's all about the name calling, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Pressure behind Allison's eyes, bursting outwards against the casement of her skull. A tidal wave of ice cresting through her body, finding release as a bolt of solid light that strikes with sledgehammer force.
Hope that hurt, Rogue. Sort of makes us even, you know? For those delightful occasions. You use me as your punching bag. Whew. So weak. So drained. Hardly stand. Photon blast is my big gun. ultimate expression of my light powers. Problem is, it uses the most energy. If I'm not careful, I could find myself out of juice before the battle's over. Uh-oh. Surprise, sugar. You knocked me for a loop, Daz, and now it's my turn.
Silvestri seems almost like it's effortless for him to
Yeah.
draw these, swimsuit model type, like live, long and lean, female bodies in all sorts of twisted and action configurations. His figure work is just supernatural. It seems like it's not a huge struggle for him to draw any of these poses on any of these pages. He's really phenomenal at it.
Mhm.
I think he is one of the progenitors of the like twisted form that shows both the arched back and pushed out buttocks.
Oh, yes.
Ah, yes.
Yes.
I see.
Ha 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 ha.
That scaffolding must weigh tons. All I have to do is laze through the rigging.
Laze, by the way, is what you used to call to laser, but it's,
Yes.
you laze it.
To laze.
To laze, to blathe. You were playing cards. Sorry.
Go on.
What a laugh. Sounds so easy. Feels as though my head's about to burst. Weak beam, not cutting fast enough. Had to focus concentration. Oh, golly, it hurts. Don't cry. Don't quit. Go for it. Do it. Do it. Dynamite. Huh? Where'd my set go? The danger room, it reverted to normal. Exercise is over. Boy, I sure hope I won. Tired, so tired. Sleep. Not move for a week forever. Dazzler! What the devil you playing that girl? What's it look like, Rogue? A training session. That's what the danger room's for, right? This is where the X-Men hone the use of our mutant powers. I figured since the team's back home at Professor Xavier's school until Storm finishes her solo mission, and since I'm still not comfortable with my new photon blast, I can use the practice. Any objections? You want to explain your choice of antagonist? You got some nerve, girl, casting me as a villain. Gee, seemed awfully appropriate to me. And where do you get off calling me girl? I'm older than you. Then maybe you better stop acting like it. We're teammates, Dazzler. Why won't you bear the hatchet between us? You tried to kill me, Rogue, more than once, for no reason. That's not something easily forgotten or forgiven. What do you want from me? I was crazy in those days. I didn't know what I was doing. You know
Cocaine.
that? What's that?
She was on cocaine.
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah.
I told you I was sorry. And that makes everything hunky-dory okay, all right? No way, sugar. It's not that easy. We can't keep on like this. Ain't good for the team. To blazes with the team. This is personal. To you and me alone. What's your craving, Allison? Satisfaction? Lump for lump, bruise for bruise, till the scales are balanced? It's a start. You're wrong.
Rogue. Dazzler.
In a minute, Psylocke, we're busy.
It will have to wait. Wolverine has summoned the entire team. There is trouble. I gotta say, for all of the times that Claremont has to write like a summary of what's come before,
Yeah.
this one in, like 7 panels or something,
Mm-hmm.
you get a really good, like through the dialogue, we know where Storm's at, we know the state of the team, we know the location they're in, and what they've been through recently. We know that she's developing new techniques and training. We know the history between Rogue and Dazzler, and that, like, she ain't budging. And you can, from your performance, but also the drawing and the script, Rogue seems pretty sincere that she wants to.
Yeah.
She like wants forgiveness, but not for personal reasons, for the team.
Exactly.
Like it's good. I think that was some excellent character work. Yeah, and often we don't get that, but that was really good.
Agreed. Nice and succinct. Succinct.
Agreed. As well, I think Claremont's voicing for Rogue seems to be like in the groove, where like you're reading kind of the rhythms of the character from the TV show,
Mm-hmm.
but Claremont's writing that. Like that who's coming out loud and clear. Some of her lines, like I can totally hear the actress in the show doing it, which is a really good sign that he's writing her really well, but also like they match up because you're doing your impression of her.
The interpretation is
yeah, it's good. Like Rogue seems fully formed.
Yeah, and this is right. I mean, and that's something that has taken how many issues, right?
Yeah, I don't know when you could like you've had her in line since the beginning, but it feels like some of the lines match like the way she's being written on the show too. Ali asks, when did they stop using Betsy's butterfly expression of her powers? By the time I started reading, I don't remember it in the books newly released, but I really like it in the back issues I could get. I don't know when it stops, but I do know something as silly as the Marvel Legends action figure of Psylocke comes with a face mask, like attachment of that butterfly effect, even when she is the Asian Elektra assassin ninja version. Really? That is still part of her, the drawing lexicon of the character. It just would be something that would kind of hover around her face, the same way that like an aura. But in terms of her speaking to other people with telepathy, I do not know. I don't know. We're gonna get to track that in real time, maybe. Yeah. So I don't know, Ali. I wish I could tell you.
But you know what? I'll say this: having not really experienced before, I really like it. I like it as a device. Me too. I like it as a comic booky thing. I think. Right.
Well, the alternative is the floating head.
Yeah.
Or another icon, and I think this is a unique one, right? Yeah. We could get Phoenix, like the flaming bird, and this is sort of like an iteration almost of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's good. I like her color palette too.
I was gonna say I like the color too. Yeah.
Is she the first pink character in X-Men? Like she, you know what I mean?
Could be.
Yeah, it's good. The Grand Canyon.
Here it began, so many months ago, when the dread Dormammu used this ancient, sacred place as the gateway from his dark dimension to Earth, neither knowing nor caring that he was setting in motion forces which would consign humankind, the human world, perhaps the entire cosmos, to chaos. Against such a fate stand but two champions, Forge, called the Maker, and Aurora, whose warrior name is Storm. Both possess power temporal and spiritual. Being human, they are flawed, and therefore vulnerable. Forge stripped Storm of her mutant power to command the winds. She swallowed her pride and returned to ask if he could restore them, and thereby unknowingly ensnared herself in my web. She is a good leader, ever thinking of others before herself. That very gift will prove her undoing. She is content as she is, yet will reassume the burden of her powers because the X-Men need that strength. By the same token, before we are done, I will so twist her to my shaping that for those same noble reasons, she will destroy her savior, her truest love.
I saw you on the ridge, Naze.
I am Shaman of the Cheyenne Storm. I was offering prayers for her journey.
What comes next?
We go. Leave the Jeep.
But it is a rental.
The park rangers will see it safely home. From here on, we walk.
Naze, if you know where Forge is, why not simply go to him? Why take all this time and trouble?
How little you know, Windrider. How much you must learn. Ours is as much a journey of the soul as of the body. No earthly trail will bring you to Forge's campfire. You must take the spirit path. But be warned, this is no easy road, and for those who walk it, nothing will ever be the same again. You have yet to take the first step. You may still turn away.
You say we must either free Forge from his enslavement by this age-old adversary of his, or destroy him. If we do not, all humanity, this whole world, will suffer.
That is so.
Then even if Forge and I were the bitterest of enemies, I would not turn away.
Truly, Aurora, that boy's a fool. Were you mine to court, as once you were his, I'd never let you slip away. Who knows, since you two are quits, that way maybe I'll give it a shot myself.
You are welcome to try.
I'll do far better than try, my lovely. And when I've succeeded, you'll be forever bound to me, Storm. Spirit and soul. Oh, did I say that out loud? Oh, no. So the quiet
boy.
part loud, the loud part quiet.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
So his agenda is to use Storm to destroy Forge.
Mm-hmm.
Because he cannot destroy Forge on his own. All right.
And then and something about, creating demonic versions of the two of them because they're vulnerable.
Okay. So, I don't have faith that Claremont knows what he's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, but so far there's enough for me to stay on board. I'm okay with it. Couple things in the chat. Black Spiders, hey, what's up? Hope you're doing good. And I hadn't realized Silvestri was drawing Dazzler minus her signature headband. That's Winger Lou's saying that. Yeah, interesting. I don't know when the headband was. It already? I think it was already in. I think we had a headband in an earlier version. Maybe I'm wrong. I have to go back and look. But Michael says, in reference to Psylocke's butterfly, that it sure beats Karma's jagged crown. So Karma of the New Mutants has let's just say under-rendered, like it's not elaborate enough or organic enough, almost like the shape of gears, like a cog. She has a crown effect that then like blasts out to people when she uses her powers. And I'm gonna give credit / blame to Frank Miller on that. He draws her first appearance. I want to say it's Marvel Team Up 100. Spider-Man and Fantastic Four are dealing with this, random mutant who can possess the bodies of people. So she possesses members of the FF, and Miller is the one who pencils that issue. And it is definitely not an elegant solution, if not a clear one. So it's like, yeah, we can totally tell when Karma does what she does. It just doesn't look as interesting or as elaborate as something that happens, 7 or 8 years later. But I wonder, if there would have, let's just assume there could have been a more graphically interesting solution. Because like I said, hers is a very mechanical cog looking thing. Black Spider says Mark's, as in Silvestri, his Storm looks so cool. So cool. He draws her just great. He's now taken the pieces of Ramita's tall and lean version of her and thrown in the length of the Arthur Adams mohawk. So it really expresses a lot. Barry Windsor Smith, who draws a great one, draws her much more muscled and draws her mohawk quite short. This one is long and really expresses a ton, especially in the outdoors. She looks awesome.
She does.
Yeah. Very cool.
Okay.
I always want to say the same joke every time they use the word San Francisco. If anyone out there knows who Sid Dithers is, then from SCTV, it's a Eugene Levy character. He is a Yiddish-speaking old man who always says the same joke. You can find a super his joke on YouTube. He will say, "San Francisco, did you drove or did you flew?" And I find that hysterical every single time, so I can't help but think it. In the shadow of the Emperor Norton Bridge, better known to tourists and foreigners as the Oakland Bay Bridge, stands Memorial Hospital. My telepathic scan has located Miss Pryor on the 4th floor. Quite frantic, too. Evidently, all her records of her existence have disappeared. You sure? I can only relate what I see in her thoughts. She knows who she is, but she can't prove it. Boy, People sure are fun to watch. And from here, they look so small.
What's all this about anyway? I mean, you drag the X-Men across the country, Wolverine, with hardly a word of explanation. Just because Storm made you leader in her absence doesn't mean we'll follow you blindly.
You follow him because of his hat.
That's right.
Right, here's Silvestri drawing that hat again. I really should have brought a cowboy hat version of Wolverine to this show. That would have been smart. We're here, Havoc, because I got a call from your brother's wife. Real angry, real scared, demanding to know why Cyclops dumped her and took their baby.
That's crazy. Scott wouldn't.
Maybe. Maybe not. We'll see. We're playing cagey, because she said she was nailed by a scalp hunter in Arclight.
Marauders?
Gold star for you. Psylocke, cast a defensive scan around the neighborhood. You know what to look for if the coast is clear. Wolverine! Marauders! Near the hospital. You are already inside. Rogue, go.
No sweat, boss. I'm good as there. Wind? I felt.
Pass by.
Oh, you're just cutting in and out there a little bit, but I got your last one. Okay. Hi, Sabretooth. Huh? Last time we scrapped, you got the drop on me. This time, sugar, it's my turn.
Now, she throws him out a window of a hospital.
Across the street.
Yeah, real far. And, okay. So he's dead, right?
Yeah, he's dead. His head came right off.
Yes. Good.
I got no cost, Crow. I'm too late to save Madeline's nurse, poor gal. Give it up, Scalp Hunter. Want to bet, honey?
So she says also, give it up, Scalp Hunter.
Oh,
you're
finished. Nice. Yeah. Want to bet, honey? Ow!
I love Scalp Hunter's like pistol shot. You can see me in the corner of our stream, but like,
yeah,
this exaggerated hand above your head. You know what I mean? Like that motion is almost like he's throwing those blasts at her. It's a really great drawing and total Kirby language on that one. And really great. Nice. Am I still cutting in and out, by the way?
No, you're good.
Okay, I'm just worried if my AirPods are running out of battery or something like that. But anyway, let's keep going.
Oh, that poor nurse.
Yeah, that's a pretty graphic ending for her too.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Right, the splatter on the wall. Yikes!
I know. Your turn, Red.
Like blazes.
Ain't you the feisty little sweetheart? I was ashamed to punch your ticket, but Sinister gave the word. I ain't about to cross him.
Why? Who are you people? What do you want from me?
We already got what we want. You're just a loose end. Relax, ma'am. Simply let things happen. Fight hard as you can. It won't make any difference in the end.
That pose of her like running and he's got his hand on her back as if like her legs can't go, and you know what I mean? That top right panel there.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's got a grip on her, so it just looks like he's fighting a little kid almost. Perfect shot, Dazzler. Your solid light blast knocked Scalp Hunter unconscious.
Only because you showed me where to shoot and monitored my power so I wouldn't use too much energy and maybe kill the man.
That's why we're a team, remember? So our various abilities can complement each other. Dazzler, Psylocke, behind us!
The world is spinning upside down.
Myself, body or thoughts, focus, concentration to locate our attacker and strike back. I don't remember who did Vertigo. Are you Vertigo?
By the time Vertigo's done twisting you inside out, X-Dips, you'll wish you were dead. Then it'll be the Marauder's pleasure to make that wish come true. Longshot. Oh my gosh, what are you doing? Ah, gee, couldn't wait, huh? Suit yourselves.
Like, this is where, again, Silvestri is so great. He exaggerates jumps and dives where characters always make an A-frame with their legs. They're always spread real wide, and it makes characters really look like they're on the move every time. It's a great action thing. Look for that wide-legged stance in action. It's really effective. Not sure. It just sort of felt right.
That's crazy.
Hold on, both of you. Tight as you can.
Now what?
We're not through yet, Allison. Close your eyes.
Why?
It's that silly, his luck power.
Luck power
is the same as what's her name in
Domino?
Deadpool 2. Yeah, Domino. This is just another sign. I'm just going to rag on Liefeld for 1 sec. Like, it's not an original idea at all. It's just a couple years later, and he obviously he's known for having very derivative ideas, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But with Longshot, it was novel and unique.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time Domino expresses luck power, it's like you're just rehashing an old thing from Longshot. So be it.
D&D.
Yeah. Cool.
That's some snazzy circus stunt, Harpoon?
It will not save them. As his harpoon leaves the Eskimo's hand, ouch.
Jeez.
Steel is instantly transmuted to energy. A spear of fire that makes Psylocke feel as though her nervous system has been doused in acid. The pain is too sudden, too extreme. It overwhelms her defenses. It is cast outwards by her telepathic talent into the minds of her teammates, those by her side, and in the hospital.
Wolverine, my lord, I'm burning.
Hang on, boy. Nothing wrong with us. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Nothing wrong with us. Only a side projection of Psylocke's hurt.
It's more than I can stand.
You got to. Figured Havoc to be cast from the same mold as his big brother, Cyclops. What if I'm wrong? Suppose he can't hack it as an X-Man.
I have to get a hold of myself. Team's counting on me. Can't let him down.
Hi there. I'm Scrambler. All I have to do is touch people and make their powers go absolutely crazy. And there's your cover image, right?
Right. There it is.
Except for Scrambler is not on the cover.
No.
Note, if you like Scrambler and things that get scrambled,
sure.
Feel free to, eggs for example, to listen to Mike Birbiglia's story about going on a ride at the fair called The Scrambler.
Oh, I know.
Are you a fan of Mike Birbiglia?
I am, and I'm a fan of The Scrambler.
You know his joke about his story about The Scrambler?
I don't know. No.
It is something you have to watch. So find a clip, type in, if you can spell Birbiglia, which a lot of people can, Mike Birbiglia, Scrambler, and enjoy his story for the next 5 minutes. It's a great one. Yeah. And then you get like the whole hospital. How many people are in this building that just get obliterated in that moment? And I will say, for like an architectural drawing point of view, lame. So we know that the artist probably had to spend a lot of time on all those circles.
Yeah.
Like that, you actually have to work to get those things done right. Pre-digital days, you can't just use a circle template, like a circle tool. You have to really align things to make it work, look like they're shooting out from a middle point. But that hospital looks like crap.
Yeah.
But anyway.
And wouldn't also Havoc's powers hit everywhere, including behind him, which is where Scrambler is?
Right.
I mean,
Well, his power is scrambled, so maybe Scrambler makes sure he's in some sort of unscrambled, like, dead zone.
Maybe
He's in the no scramble zone.
no.
But if you look at like the way that the drawing is rendered, there are blasts going through scramble.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's okay. Comics, man,
Comics.
Bang! All dead. All gone. Oopsies. I thought you'd fall the whole way, Havoc. No matter. You're balanced pretty precariously. When you wake, you'll probably roll over. That'll do the trick. Now it's Maddie's turn. What a rip. Scalp and Saber couldn't do the job, but Scrambler did. Ow. Sorry, creep. Die easy. Can you say the same? Please shoot his head right off.
Right there.
Just like she smacks him with a gun.
It's funny, that the Marauders as a team, as a collection of powers and stuff, doesn't really interest me. Aside from the fact they're able to seemingly get the jump on the X-Men and often, but it always just makes when I see Harpoon in action, I'm just takes me back to Colossus, and after he kills Riptide, he turns on Harpoon and says, what did he say? Say, make your peace with your gods, little man. You're next. I'm like, I want to see Colossus just go through the Marauders.
Yeah, again,
right? Just one by one, he's just taking them all out.
Yeah, there's something, obviously Petey is pure of heart and like to see him turn.
Yeah,
and we got a long arc of him getting darker and darker with his outlook on how to handle opponents. But yeah, him going full and just saying, these guys, they should not be on Earth anymore, and I'm going to be Executioner. Like that's, yeah. I'd be down for that, especially in the context of these kinds of stories.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Black Spiders says that's what we don't see Longshot. And then Fool Killer is Deadpool, in my opinion, he says. To me, it's like Deathstroke mixed with, like Deathstroke the Terminator is,
right.
Even like the fact that he's Slade Wilson, like, come on.
Yeah.
Character's name is Slade Wilson, uses a sword and a gun as a mask. It's, yeah. Then you put a little bit of Snake Eyes in there.
Yeah.
Again, sword and gun.
Which they played to such excellent comic effect in the Teen Titans Go to the Movies movie.
Yes, of course. And then the idea of the merc with the mouth.
Yeah.
That isn't even part of the Liefeld contribution.
No.
That's Joe Kelly's writing. So yeah. everything important about Deadpool is from either someone else or somewhere else. Nearby, hearing Scrambler's plight on the open channel micro-transceiver sets implanted in their uniforms.
Overcompetent twerp. I should let her dust him. Serves him right.
Arclight lends a helping hand. It's fun, like this sound effect almost says bathroom.
Bathroom!
Earthquake!
Arclight more likely. She creates high-intensity shock waves. Woman just loves to knock things down. Havoc's houseboats tore the guts out of this building. Another good jolt and the whole shebang will go. Staff's evacuating the patients, but they'll never get him out in time.
Madeline's the target. Get her away. The Marauders will leave the hospital be. Quit fussing, Rogue. I'm all right. They'll take more than Havoc's plasma beam to overcome my fast healing power. Get far enough and go to ground where they can't find you. The fight's over.
Gone and done, boss.
Wolverine, go kill some people.
Oh, yeah.
Where that baby-faced Korean.
Is that Scrambler?
Figures he skipped. Yeah, Scramblers is supposed to be a Korean character.
Okay.
Figures he skipped. I can follow his trail easy. Only I gotta take care of the team. Look after Havoc first. All those people, endangered, some hurt, even killed. Because of me.
Afraid so.
But why, Rogue?
Haven't a clue, sugar.
Just a very peaceful sailboat going across the bay.
Yeah, just minding its own business.
Yeah, just sailing away.
You know? You marry into the X-Men family, and I guess you catch a lot of X-Men grief.
Rogue, that construction site, the skyscraper.
Ah, crumbs.
The girders, they're climbing after us.
Can't outrun them. We're caught. My Polaris?
You're Maliche.
I'm Maliche. Don't bother trying to free yourself, Rogue darling. I've magnetically strengthened the molecular bonds of the metal to such an extent even your strength can't shatter them.
I know you.
Lorna Dane? I don't believe this. Polaris, how could you be working with Marauders? Silly girl, I lead the Marauders.
So this is, to me, one of the edge ups that Silvestri has on Romita Jr., where, like, you just don't get a janky girl face from him.
Right.
Once in a while, like, Romita would just have a face that didn't look right. This guy has because Dan Green's there, the light feather touch of, like, some of the poses are really energetic. The line is beautiful. Like, there's not too much detail in the backgrounds. You know, everything moves. The storytelling is really clear. Maybe with one or two exceptions here or there, but like when he wants to draw again, like 1987 pretty girl face, man, he knocks them out of the park.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, far below, hopefully familiar dump truck pulls onto the lot. Wow.
Look at that. My aching head. Psylocke. Longshot, are you okay?
As well as can be expected. I sense Miss Pryor's thought patterns above us. She and Rogue are trapped.
You switched sides. Let's say, darling, they made me an offer I just couldn't refuse. Such a shame your heroes won't have the opportunity to follow my example. The whole building's being yanked out of the ground. Longshot, hook your grapnel to the superstructure, then pass me the line. I'm crazy, but Betsy's still too groggy to face any Marauders. I'm the only one whose powers can help, assuming I live so long. Here I go. Wish me luck.
All I have.
Dumb. I hate being a hero. I'm going to be hurt. I don't want to die. Careful, or the girders don't swing into them. Heading for the bay, thank heaven. Kick away from the superstructure as far as possible. Remember training, how to land, deep breath, heart jackhammering, thoughts racing, scared. Gonna hit. Still alive, far out, nothing busted. How lucky can I get? Body's going to be as black and blue as my costume. Costume hurts all over. Water's so cold. Keep hold of Longshot's line. Currently so swift. If I let go, I'll never make it back here. Not being pulled anymore. We've hit bottom. Thoughts calming, too, at last. What a ride. Turn up my body's natural radiance bright as possible, so I can see. There they are! Please, Lord, let them be alive. Took longer than I thought to reach them. Lungs are already starting to hurt. No time to waste. Miss Pryor looks in worse shape. I'll cut her loose first. Don't be frightened. My laser's only slicing steel. It won't touch you. Bingo. Oh, crap. Suppose she can't swim. If I stay with her, Rogue's done for. Hope you make it, Madeline. Hope I make it. Water's turned awfully murky. No, it's me. My glow's fading. Lashing underwater took more out of me than I expected. To know if I have enough energy left for Rogue. She knows it too.
Go on, Daz. You did your best. You saved Madeline, that's the important thing. Now save yourself. Scoot, gal, while you're still able. No sense both of us becoming fish food. Finally, this way the scales between us be balanced. Be smart for once, Lightingale. Go!
I like Lightingale. That's good.
Lightingale. That's good.
One last try.
Now, so much for that idea. I never figured on things ending this way. Heck, deep down, never figured they'd ever end, period. Too cocky by far, that's me.
What? Dazzler's laser. She came back.
Like I told Juggernaut, I'm too darn dumb to know when to quit. Hang on, Rogue. I'll have you free in a jiff.
A laser? It quit. I can't be out of energy. No fair.
I'm sorry, Rogue. On fire inside. Want so badly to take a breath.
It's got to try one more.
Can't really read that. Gone too far.
Last chance. Daz weaken the girders. Get this all I got free.
Upsy daisy, sugar. She ain't moving. Hanging like a rag doll into my arms, eyes closed. Was I too late? Craps didn't think I could get so cold. Daz is like a block of ice. Too poop myself to fly for shore. Rest here a minute, gathering the strength.
Allie! Am I dead?
Not hardly. You're a hero.
I'm an X-Men, Rogue. We stick together.
Even after all that's between us?
That's past. What counts is today and tomorrow. I didn't really accept that in my heart till now. How sweet. Old enemies becoming dear friends. What a disgustingly charming picture. I must say your pair are proving most delightfully difficult to kill. I suppose I'll simply have to keep trying till I get it right.
Next, Heartbreak.
Ooh.
You know what would have been hilarious?
What?
To me is
Yes.
if in this moment, Polaris just pulls up the girders, grabs them again, and just sends them to the bottom again.
I mean, yeah.
You got nothing left. Now you're dead.
Mm-hmm. You did.
That would be crazy. Yeah, you did.
You did.
Good issue. Like lots of good action and good character stuff. I always love when those characters start to bond with each other, and yeah. I'm a fan of that kind of thing.
Yeah, the team's starting to become. We've now been without Kitty and Nightcrawler and Colossus for more than a few issues, and Cyclops, and like this new team identity is starting to come together a bit, and I'm enjoying it.
Yes. Black Spiders asks, when Dazzler comic got canceled, is that when she joined the X-Men? Roughly, yes. That was part of the end of her series when her identity got exposed, and she goes in hiding and like dyes her hair black and joins Lila Cheney's band as the keyboard player and like backup singer. And very quickly, Malice, the character who is possessing Polaris here, seeks her out and finds her in, I think, San Francisco. Was it? Is that where they got her in?
I think so.
And possesses Dazzler for an issue, and the X-Men then go to San Francisco to fight against Malice as she kind of body hops. And it's a Barry Windsor Smith drawn issue, and then from then on, Dazzler sticks with the team because she's being hunted as the mutant massacre kind of goes into full effect around that time, or was in full effect. But there you go. That's about when she joined. And it wasn't a Claremont written series. It was just that she was another mutant who was available, I guess. And there was talk actually of her possibly being the female, the lone female, you know how it was at the time, like every team gets a girl kind of cliche. Sure. There was talk, I mentioned to you when we covered that episode or that issue, there was talk that she would be the female that goes on to join X Factor if they weren't going to do Jean Grey.
Right.
Dazzler was going to be in that spot. But anyway, It's not the way it worked out. In the letter column, there are a couple letters from Canada, which I always enjoy, and there is some love for the Alan Davis artwork we saw in those issues against those three dudes from World War II.
Yeah.
And some frustration by some, kids who didn't like those bad guys or whatever. And there's also some good, there's like I don't want to call it a trope, but there's a common way of signing off in Marvel Comics from fans where they say things like, until Wolverine drinks lemonade, I'm Marvel.
Right.
Sort of like until the world ends, like I'm with your brands. There's a few of those that are kind of charming, One guy says, until Wolverine quits smoking cigars, make mine Marvel. And the other guy does a lemonade one. And it's silly. But yeah, that's that issue, man.
I enjoyed it.
What else are you going to do? Yeah, I liked it too. Just again, seeing them get in the groove of starting the next arc of stories. We're going to obviously get a part 2 to this at least, which again, I have not read since 1987. So, or around that time period, I have it here. There's the cover.
Ooh, that's
cool. 222. Yeah, Silvestri.
222.
And I'm gonna just open it up now just to take a look. I wonder how much they actually get to fight. Oh, dude! It starts with this. Whoa, over the water, right from that moment.
So at the time they fight, Sabretooth is still in the air being punched from Rogue's punch, right?
Yes.
Yeah. He's still flying across the city.
Well, he landed on the front steps of they call it the Tanners.
Okay.
In San Francisco.
I don't know. The Tanners, like DJ Tanner, like from Full House.
Yes.
Yeah. The Painted Ladies. They're called the Painted Ladies.
They landed at the Full House. Yes. Those them in those houses off that park.
Yes, I know that park well. Well, not well.
Oh, okay.
I drove by the park in September, but that's it.
You're amazing.
Everywhere you go.
No, that's enough. That's enough. Easy now. Come on.
All right, I'm figured out.
That is that is where that's where that goes. So we'll get onto that next week, which should be a blast.
Totally.
I'm looking like not just a Havoc blast, but that's pretty cool.
I like Wolverine called him now, being like, I thought being a Summers he'd be made of stronger stuff.
Or he's not sure, right?
Yeah.
But also just note, imagine where we were 2 years ago, or maybe 3 years ago now, where like Wolverine could not crack a cover.
Yeah.
Remember how with Colossus was always at the forefront of the storm, and now it's like every issue, like we know what the bread and butter is. We're gonna get Wolverine on those covers every time. So I thought that was kind of fun.
Wow.
I wonder if I should change the subject for a second.
Sure.
What's happening in the slideshow? Oh, there is another thing. Back to the slide deck here.
Okay.
I mentioned you before.
Oh yeah.
Was there a moment missing from this issue? So we've had this idea for a long time, you and I. Since the earliest days of the show, we've had this idea that there is at least one missing moment in every issue.
Right.
Where something could have happened that is for laughs. Whether it was in maybe it was issue 103, I think, where the X-Men interact with a bunch of leprechauns who save them in Cassidy Keith.
Cassidy Keith,
So we joked that it would be great to see Wolverine at the bar, who's like kind of having that stepbrothers. I'm like, did we just become best friends with him and Padrick, the leprechaun, where they want to go on a road trip and drink together? I made up this one from essentially from Giant Size X-Men #1, where Wolverine's like, new team. At least I'm not one of those cultural cliches, bub. Given that he's, wearing his kind of, Canadian outfit and carrying a couple brewskis, and he's just as much a cliche as everybody else is. But that team is that's a problematic group of character portrayals. In 1975, each one of them a ridiculous caricature of some kind of outdated representation of diversity. So, do you have any thoughts, or does anyone in the chat have any thoughts as to what would be a good missing moment from the issue we just read, whether it's some interaction with Scrambler or Malice just using her powers more effectively to drag them back under the water.
Sabretooth landing in an abandoned pillow factory.
Or in front of the Tanner's house, right?
Right.
He's on Full House. See the pillow factory? Well, he's sturdy. Like he has a healing factor. So wherever he lands, he's going to make it okay, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, Wolverine got punched in the orbit.
Sideshow Luke Perry, and they fire him the cannon, and he eventually lands, and they demolish the building.
And then the building collapses, or it's set for demolition. Yeah.
Sideshow Luke Perry.
Yeah.
For Mom. Sorry.
Because he's Sideshow Bob's half-brother, stepbrother?
He's Krusty's half-brother.
Krusty, pardon me.
Krusty's half-brother.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. It's good times. Anyway, seeing if we had any thoughts. If you have one, like a good idea for sort of a single panel sort of joke from the issue, throw it in the chat. Let me know whether it's here. What happens to Wolverine's hat? That's a good question. Hey, Trevor, how you doing? Calling us hosers. That's fair.
Yeah,
fair. What does happen to Wolverine's hat? And here we are hosers, especially in this weather. Right. Hey, Chris, what does a hoser actually mean? Is there a do you know what the origin of the phrase is?
I mean, I know popularly,
Bob and Doug
McKenzie, but I don't know. Good question. A little Googling here.
You're gonna look it up?
Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah, I wonder what it is. I like to imagine it's the dude who's adding the water to the outdoor rink. It's not that.
It's funny. It has multiple. They think it had multiple origins. May have originated in the logging industry. May have originated in hockey. Losing team would hose down the ice after a game. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, no, it's. I'm looking at it on the Canadian Encyclopedia, and it doesn't talk about the origins. Oh, where does hoser come from? Here you go. People used to siphon gas from gas-powered tractors. Use on the prairies. Jeez.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. And then, someone has said maybe in pre-Zamboni days, where the losing team would have to hose down the ice after a hockey game.
Yeah, so calling someone a loser, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that tracks to me.
Yeah.
I like it. So Trevor, sure, the hosers for sure.
It's probably not. I mean, the fact that it's one letter away from loser as well.
It's probably it's a good one.
Yeah.
So the panel that I have in my mind is Mr. Sinister sitting down while the other characters take the scissors and do that curl on the ribbons to make his frills stand up or whatever. Like they're doing some technique to get them. No, they're not high enough. Or I hate when those things are flat or some kind of reaction to. He needs his costume to look just right. That's my problem.
Or like the nurse, before she goes in, her fiance proposes to her or something like that. And they're like, "This is the best."
She's one day from retirement.
One day retirement. That's exactly. One day.
She's just paid off her mortgage.
She just paid off. She's booked a cruise. She's never traveled.
Yeah,
it could be the first thing she does.
Or just sold the house and bought the boat. You know what I mean? Good travel.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Just something that's so dark. That is so terrible.
That's terrible.
Speaking of dark and terrible, and so I've been doing. I'm going to point so if I can do this right. So right there are some of those Hellboy library editions. There's the first two, which I've read through. Finally finished it today, and then the third one is Hellboy in Hell, which I have not read yet because it's the final of 7. So aside from doing a Hellboy read through that I'm doing, I read a little every day, loving it. I also just acquired. I was gifted or whatever. I was the dumping ground for an entire set of 23 10-10 books. 10-10. Like French albums. You see, they're from the library. They're from my wife's.
There.
Yes. Well, there's a character named Professor Calculus,
Okay.
who's part of like the entourage or the ensemble of characters. So the library at my wife's school basically came to the conclusion that they can't have these anymore on the shelves because of the complications around representation.
Sure.
And so they unloaded the full set, which is 23 volumes
Wow.
of Tintin. And so my library is now like on the weekend of Angoulême, where the statue of Hergé, the creator, that's the pen name for the creator of Tintin, and the studio that worked on it. Like on that weekend, I received the full collection, which I thought was really
That is kind of
beautiful. But now I'm starting to read through these as well, and it is like a big gap in my comics reading, given that there are over, like, we talk about X-Men #1 by Jim Lee and Chris Claremont selling 8 million copies. There are over 100 million Tintin books sold. Like, basically, it's at the point where it's countless. Yeah, it's a big gap in my field of knowledge, but they're really beautiful, and there's like a Where's Waldo feels like it's exactly taken from in the drawing style. That clear line. A lot of the crowd scenes feel like Where's Waldo interpretations in some fun ways. They're very playful, but yeah, reading some Tintin as well. So I don't know if anyone else grew up on these. They were in my school library as a little kid, and I've come across them many times. But I'm looking forward to reading some more of that over coffee in the mornings or whatever.
And then of course there's
Have you read those?
Hellboy Tintin crossover.
I mean,
called Tintin in Hell.
So now I'm like, I have to draw this.
Now you have to draw
at least an image. Do you draw? I mean, Tintin
well, they team up
Mignola?
They investigate the occult, obviously. Like there's
he is.
Yeah.
He's a reporter turned adventurer.
Exactly.
As and the time period crosses over perfectly.
Totally.
So, is it drawing Hellboy in Hergé style, or is it drawing Tintin in Mignola style?
Hellboy in Hergé style.
Oh my god! I think I have to go do this right now. Yeah, I would take one of those covers because there were so many. I mean, there's I said 23. There's some beautiful splashes or full page, but figuring out a way to draw Hellboy in this style, I'm sure someone's already done it.
I'm sure.
But as far as a creative exercise,
can be like humping Hellboy's leg.
Ali says, "Why choose? Do both." Because who has time for this? I don't have time for this. But I really want to see what Hellboy looks like in an Hergé style. That's so funny. Oh, you're killing me. I wish you had never said that. So I have it right here. Truthfully, I did some Hellboy art recently.
Yeah.
Right. I did this piece last week or the week before, which was really fun to do. And then just before that one, I had done this one for you. There's Hellboy and a peregrine, one of the peregrines who I think her name was Olive.
Olive.
We're just messing around.
You said what's the name in the 1950s? I'm like, Olive.
Yeah, having fun with that. Yeah. So I have been drawing some Hellboy, but not in a Hergé style. So that's going to be a whole nother. All right, I got to go do that now. Well, I watched the Leaf game. They're playing Calgary. It started an hour and a half ago. So let's call it and go
2-2.
watch Leafs beat Calgary.
Was I not supposed to tell you?
Well, it's okay. At least they've scored, which means they're
guess
going.
Who scored?
William Nylander.
My guy.
And who scored the other one?
JT.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Good. Okay, I'm excited.
Right.
Yeah, time to go watch the Leaf game and maybe crack a drink. But that brings us to the end of another episode of Previously in X-Men. I want to, of course, say thanks to my good buddy, writer of Group of Seven, A Most Secret Tale, and Peregrines, Chris Sanagan. Thank you very much, Chris, for doing this with me tonight. I really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
You are a most sinister ally. And, of course, you can find us on all the social media at Group of Seven Comics, including now on Blue Sky, which is like Group-of-7-Comics. .bsky. I don't understand. .social or I don't know, whatever it is. But on Blue Sky,
Over
you can
there.
find me, Jason Lapidus. You can find Chris. Oh, you can find Group of Seven Comics. If you just take a look. We're there. Of course, we're on all the other socials, the regular stuff. So you can find us there or at our website, which is groupofsevencomics.ca. And upcoming stuff, Mountain Festival. Yep, that's
Mountain
good.
Man Music Festival, always a given.
Still don't know about Toronto Comic Con, even though some stuff's getting announced. I somehow doubt the way things have been going lately, but something library in April.
Halton Hills Fan Fest in Georgetown, Ontario, at their local library in April, plus Montreal Comic Arts Festival in Montreal in May, and now the Word on the Street in Toronto in September. So slowly but surely, our calendar is getting booked up.
Yeah, Word on the Street's going to be a big one for us for sure. It's a huge. I used to describe it to my wee children as a downtown outdoor book party, and they were down with that as kids. And I'm looking forward to hanging out with you for those couple days.
Yeah, man, good times
in lovely downtown Toronto in September. That should be a beautiful, beautiful weekend. We'll get some good food that weekend too. I'm sure. Other than that, I think there's also some toying around ToyCon news coming soon, and hopefully a date, whether that's end of March or what. But yeah, the year is coming together. But the big ones, I mean, that Word on the Street and NCAF, like just beautiful, beautiful big events for us. So looking forward to that. Hey, everyone, look after yourselves. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate your company and your contributions to the show. So thank you for that. Read some more X-Men comics, of course. Read anything good in comics and enjoy yourself with that. It's always a good thing to do. Please click like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share with anyone you think would be interested. We would really appreciate a few more eyes on what we're doing here. We're having so much fun sharing X-Men comics with you. So it's been a real pleasure. And besides that, just stay well and stay Xy. And thanks, Bubs. There you go. Have a good night.
Take care, everyone.
Cheers. Thank you. We'll see you next time, next Tuesday. End the stream. I can do this.